music and a jungle-based imagination. Don't miss the wild finale of this hit family musical, running through November 23rd. Tickets at childrenstheater.org. That's childrenstheater.org.
Portions of the following program may be pre-recorded.
Broadcasting live on AM 950, the Progressive Voice of Minnesota, in the evenings on WCPT 820 Chicago's Progressive Talk, and in the nighttime hours, 1150 AM KKNW in Seattle. It is the Matt McNeil Show for your Wednesday. Good to have you with us. Jeff Stein is going to be joining us here. We'll have some things to talk about, for sure. Yeah, I'll be getting into that here fairly quickly. Also, coming up here in the next hour is we're going to be talking with we got a new theater production here in town, and looking forward to chatting with the folks over there. So I'll get into that in the next hour. 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. Patrick, did you get out at all and enjoy the Aurora last night?
I absolutely did. It peaked about 10:30, and I think it was the most brilliant I've ever seen it with the naked eye.
Well, we went out. I was out in the country. It was pretty. It was lovely. I will talk more about that in the next hour. I will. But we've got to kind of get into this here because, once again, the worst kept secret in the history of politics in this country, Donald Trump is a pedophile. We've been handed yet another mountainous bit of evidence, and I want to say it like this, without a doubt in my mind. If this much evidence existed against, I don't know, a black man being possibly involved with having sex with a child, not only would they already be in jail, there's no, prosecutor, judge, jury, everyone would have already thrown that person in jail for the rest of their life. There wouldn't be any doubt. There would be no chance of parole. That would be it. Let's just be honest about it. There is copious amount of evidence that Donald Trump is a pedophile, and he was sleeping with the girls that Jeffrey Epstein provided. It's clear, and there's just everything about today and the response from the White House just tells you how that they all know that this is exactly the same people who for the last year have screamed about, we care about the little girls. No, you don't. Not at all. You could care less about them. As a matter of fact, it brings forward a question. How many Republican politicians, if they were to walk in on Trump sexually assaulting their 13-year-old daughter or granddaughter and had Trump tell them, get out of here and close the door behind you, would immediately apologize to Donald Trump and would leave the room? Now, do I think that all Republicans would do that? No, I don't. But the number ain't zero. And I want to repeat that. The number ain't zero. There are Republicans in the Republican Party that if their own child or grandchild was being sexually assaulted by Donald Trump and he said, get out of here and close the door, would say, oh, I'm so sorry, and leave. That just tells you where we're at in this country. Damning new emails that suggested Donald Trump knew about the conduct of the late sex offender Jeffrey Epstein were released on Wednesday. By the way, there's a lead here that everyone is burying. I'll get to that when we get into the emails. One that Epstein apparently has said in one of the emails, of course Trump knew about the girls that were procured for his sex trafficking ring. The release of these messages by Democrats on the House Oversight Committee is likely to add significant pressure to the White House to release the so-called Epstein files, which they probably are not going to do because they're frantically trying to hide them now. Reportedly detailing the long-running scandal that had overshadowed Trump's second term in office. Numerous victims have said they were assaulted of Epstein's infamous parties and took place at his home in New York and his Florida mansion and at his compound in Little St. James on the U.S. Virgin Islands, to which clients would be ferried to by private jet. In one of the memos, here's the first one, Epstein alleged to his co-conspirator, Ghislaine Maxwell, in April of 2011 that Trump had a lengthy engagement in the company of one of his disgraced financiers' sex traffic victims. I want you to realize that dog hasn't barked. I want you to realize that the dog that hasn't barked is Trump. The victim spent hours at my house with him. He has never once been mentioned. The message reads. In her reply, Maxwell said, I've been thinking about that. So I want to stop right there. These emails place Trump with an underage girl for hours, which both the child sex trafficker and his accomplice acknowledge he was with an underage girl for hours. Not 4 hours, but for a few hours, how I say it like that. That's your lead right there. This is basically them saying, yeah, Trump, do you think that they were discussing business policy? Do you think that Donald Trump was wowing them with his stories of brilliance and grace? No, he was having sex with an underage girl. He was having sex with an underage girl. They're basically admitting it in this email. And how that's not the lead of every story is Epstein says Trump was with an underage girl for hours. The second message sent by Epstein to Trump biographer Michael Wolff in January 2019 indicates that Trump had asked him to resign from Mar-a-Lago, the president's executive members-only club in Florida, but Epstein said he was never a member and adds, of course he knew about the girls as he asked Ghislaine to stop. So he knew, as he says, I knew nothing of the girls. He apparently knew what the girls were there for. And once again, in a previous email from 2011, apparently had spent a few hours with one of the girls. Epstein's longtime friend and co-conspirator Maxwell is currently serving a 20-year sentence after a conviction of sex trafficking crimes. The third message sent to Epstein by Wolff in December in 2015. So this is between these other two ones. Solicited the author's advice about fashioning a response to Trump to questions CNN was reportedly preparing to ask him about their relationship. Epstein, if I were able to craft an answer for him, what do you think it should be? Wolff, I think you should let him hang himself. He added, if he says he's been on the plane or to your house, then that gives you valuable PR and political currency. You can hang him in a way that potentially generates a positive benefit for you. Of course, it's possible that when asked, he'll say Jeffrey is a great guy and had gotten a raw deal, and his victims are of political correctness, which is outlawed in the Trump regime. So basically, first of all, there's the acknowledgement that he basically, if he says he hasn't been on the plane or to the house, they're acknowledging that the plane and the house are not good places to be. That's an acknowledgement. I mean, they're saying, he shouldn't be going there. You don't say, you don't say this like, if he says he hasn't been to Arby's, then we've got political capital. No one cares about Arby's. I mean, they do have the meats, although meats. Anyone can go to Arby's. But the fact that they're saying, if he says he hasn't been on the plane or to the house, that gives you valuable PR and political currency, they're acknowledging this is a negative. They're acknowledging this is a negative. But at the same time, they're not only are saying that those are negatives, but Trump's been to both the house and been on the plane. Trump has consistently lied about having knowledge of Epstein's activities, which include the operation of a sex trafficking ring that procured teen girls for wealthy and influential associates. Epstein killed himself, air quotes, in 2019 while in federal custody. Once again, their own video evidence of it shows that, yeah, he easily could have been murdered in that cell. In a statement on Wednesday, the White House press secretary said Democrats selectively leaked emails to the liberal media, created a fake narrative to smear the Trump. She does not deny, by the way, did I copy that story as well? She does not deny that Trump spent hours with an underage girl. That is that's a non-denial denial. So she's not saying, no, he never spent time with this girl. He was there. And once again, there are other things that have happened today, which if they don't scream to you, massive cover up. And I know all these people say, I've got my pardon. I'm going to walk away scot-free. Yeah. Notorious sex offender. Now, here's another letter, apparently. So people have been going through the emails throughout the day. Here's another one that caught my attention here. Notorious sex offender Jeffrey Epstein said to Trump, I know how dirty Donald is in a 2018 email thread about Trump's former personal lawyer and fixer Michael Cohen having pled guilty to campaign finance violations and agreed to cooperate with the federal investigation of the president. Epstein made that remark about Trump to Catherine Rumler, a lawyer who served as White House counsel under former President Obama. Rumler is currently chief legal officer and general counsel for Goldman Sachs. The email thread, which CNBC has not independently verified, is among more than 20,000 documents obtained from the Epstein estate by Democrats. Rumler, on August 23rd, 2018, emailed Epstein a link to the New York Times op-ed by Bret Stephens, in which the headline, Donald Trump's high crimes and misdemeanors, the principal case for impeachment is clear. What's missing is the courage. Yes, yes. Let me go back to the first statement I made today. You talk about a lack of courage back then. How many of the Republicans would walk in and find Donald Trump sexually violating their 13-year-old daughter or granddaughter and would be okay with it? Because the number ain't zero. There'd be a lot of them that would be perfectly fine with that. So once again, courage is in short supply in this country right now. The article detailed Cohen's guilty plea and its implications for Trump, who is then in his first term in the White House. Cohen then pled guilty to crimes related to making and facilitating hush money payments to porn star Stormy Daniels and Playboy model Karen McDougal before the 2016 presidential election. Once again, a pattern of behavior. I thought you'd find interesting, Rumler wrote Epstein, who had been friends with Trump for years before they had a falling out in early 2000s. She wrote in the same thread, it makes no difference whether it was his money issue is failure to disclose, plus fact that he lied his ass off about makes it clear that he knew it was illegal. Epstein replied, you see, I know how dirty Donald is. My guess is that non-lawyers and New York biz people will have no idea what it means to have your fixer flip, Epstein added. So basically, he is saying this. And let's just be honest. It seems to me pretty clear that Jeffrey Epstein was killed in his jail cell. I don't think I am going off into fantasy land. He was just too dangerous for Trump. These are just his emails, and they firmly plant him as having a hours-long rendezvous with an underage girl, and Epstein was talking about it. I know how dirty he is. All you guys on the right, this is your guy. All you people, all you high moral fiber, all you good Christians, this is your guy. And once again, you're just going to wrap yourselves in the lie and basically say, nothing to see here. Oh, I'm sorry, Donald. Let me get that door. It is the Matt McNeil Show.
Hi, this is Ryan, owner of Snap Construction. It's been great working with so many of the passionate AM 950 listeners over the years. We have realized how important AM 950 is to the community. I want to see AM 950 continue to grow and continue to thrive into the future. To help continue to grow, Snap Construction will be putting up proceeds to assist the station in marketing on social media. Snap Construction encourages you to do your part by liking and sharing the content on AM 950 social media platforms.
This is Chad, owner of AM 950. Ryan has always told me the best time to get work done is during the colder months of the year because demand is much lower. He is backing that up again by offering 30% off labor on windows and siding from now until the end of December. Call Snap Construction now to get 30% off labor on windows and siding. As always, Snap Construction stands by their work with a lifetime craftsmanship warranty. Trust the company AM 950 trusts Snap Construction, arguably the most well-reviewed roofing, siding, and window contractor in the metro area. Get a free estimate by calling 612-333-SNAP or find them online at snapconstruction.com. Financing options available.
Located just north of 50th and France, the Great Wall Restaurant has provided a delicious taste of authentic Chinese cuisine since 1981. Specializing in Szechuan and Peking dishes, they offer one of the most extensive menus in the Twin Cities. Favorites include hot and sour soup, pan-fried dumplings, and mushu pork with homemade Chinese pancakes. Stop by their Edina location or call for takeout at 952-927-4439. See the full menu at greatwallrestaurant.us.
Hi, this is Frank Brown of Minuteman Press Uptown with a question for our listeners. How important are business values to you? When you need high-quality digital print, it matters who you work with. You see, Minuteman Uptown is unique. We're one of the only union print shops in Minnesota providing our team with living wages and benefits. We believe in second chances for justice-impacted individuals who want to contribute to the community, and we are active in local issues. We've been in the streets standing up for racial, social, and economic justice. At Minuteman Uptown, our mission is to connect all communities through technology-driven print solutions. An example of that mission is when I moved Minuteman Uptown to North Minneapolis. We're invested in this local community, and we help small businesses and local organizations throughout the Twin Cities reach their audiences. Reach out to Minuteman Uptown and partner with a printer that shares your values. Call us today at 612-870-0777 or visit us at mpuptown.com. That's mpuptown.com.
Hey, it's Alex with Buzzcut Mowing. Why spend your precious time out in the cold this fall raking, bagging, and stressing over leaves when I can handle it all for you? I provide fast, thorough, and reliable fall leaf cleanups across the West Metro. Let me do the hard work so you can stay cozy, sip your coffee, and actually enjoy the season. Visit buzzcutmowingmn.com today, and let's make your yard the envy of the neighborhood before the winter hits. Buzzcut Mowing.
It is the Matt McNeil Show, 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. It sounds like the Arizona rep has been sworn in. And I'm kind of keeping track of the breaking news on this because I get this, because I have this. Okay, you want proof that they are terrified of the truth getting out. Basically, Trump realizing they could not stop the swearing in of the Arizona representative. He called both Representatives Lauren Boebert and Nancy Mace yesterday to question them about signing the House petition to force a vote on the Epstein files. Sources with the New York Times reported his call to Boebert was reportedly an early morning wake-up call, and he's been playing phone tag with Mace, who in a social media post this morning called on the media to stop discussing Trump in relation to the files. I'm so sick of the fake news focusing on Trump and the non-Epstein victims, she wrote. So basically her whole argument is, I'm concerned about the victims, but the people that made them victims, I don't want to hear about it. Okay. Boebert and Mace were joined by GOP Representatives Marjorie Taylor Greene and Thomas Massey in signing the petition alongside every Democrat. And so, yeah, that's kind of where they're in this little pickle now. Here's another just sign of they all know that Donald Trump was having sex with young girls. They know it. Boebert was reportedly set to attend a last-minute meeting at the White House ahead of her vote on releasing files related to the sex offender Epstein. Multiple sources told CNN that the Attorney General, Pam Bondi, the worst Attorney General in the history of the country, Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche, just a hack for Trump, and FBI Director Kash Patel met with Boebert at the White House this morning. I want you to think about this. You have the Attorney General, the Deputy Attorney General, and the FBI Director all putting the hardcore press on Boebert to take her name off that petition. Boebert is one of 3 Republicans who have signed a discharge petition that would force a vote on releasing the Epstein files. The White House meeting comes after the House Democrats reignited a controversy by releasing documents suggesting Trump was aware of the girls being sex trafficked by Epstein. Here's the one, and I saw this headline. I'm going to read it cold here. Boebert convinced Epstein conspiracy afoot as Trump pressure backfires. She's reportedly convinced that there is a conspiracy to cover up the files of the sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. You'll think? Really? Wow. What's the bright thing in the sky? Yeah, you think that there's a conspiracy? You met with the Attorney General, the Deputy Attorney General, and the FBI on a last-minute slap together. They met one House rep to pressure her into basically taking her name off the petition. The lawmaker is one of a handful of Republicans supporting the discharge petition. On Wednesday afternoon, Boebert had been called to the White House to meet with those 3. She later told CNN that she would not remove her name from the House petition despite pressure from the president and his team. My understanding is that the relentless pressure campaign has included carrot stick, good cop, bad cop, and even more dug in, suspicious, and convinced there's conspiracy at play. Once again, not the biggest fan of Lauren Boebert, but yeah. Do you remember yesterday I was talking about the David Schuster's story that basically said that there are enough Republicans who know the truth, that there are indeed far more condemning pictures, documents that basically put Trump in, undeniably make him having sex with underage kids. That is what Schuster is reporting. They know. The question I have for all of you guys, because, if Lauren Boebert can see through this, that's saying something. So when I think about all the House reps in Illinois and Washington and Minnesota who are Republicans who are going along with this travesty, do you think you're going to be able to just wash this stink off you? That you're going to be able to say, I knew nothing. You guys, and I think I'll talk about this with Stein. You guys, was it Bill Clinton met with, or was it Barack Obama? It was Barack Obama met with the Attorney General on the tarmac at Sky Harbor Airport in Arizona for like 15 minutes. They just happened to cross paths and they said hello. And the Republican Party was like, the entire Illuminati was planned in those 15 minutes. They decided who lived and who died nationwide. Oh, my God. We have to know exactly what happened there. Those same Republicans today are, well, okay, we have some more evidence that says Donald Trump was there having sex with girls. Clearly nothing to see here. You want to know why you guys are morally bankrupt? It's this. It's this. I think of Sarah Palin when her shirtless son was swearing at the neighbors in the Wasilla, Alaska streets about this. And she's trying to have some sort of press conference while basically the Beverly Hillbillies without the class breaks out behind them. No, there is a reckoning coming. And it's something, by the way, and on an unrelated story, it's something that you're seeing kind of with what's been this new thing on TikTok where people are approaching churches and saying, we're hungry, we need food. Can you help us? And some of the churches are like, oh my gosh, we might not have food here, but let's get you some food. What do you need? There are a handful of churches out there that are definitely stepping up and saying, hey, you're hungry, let's get you fed. But a stunning amount of them, a stunning amount of Christian churches are basically refusing to even try to help the needy as they come to their doors. Yeah, this is crazy, man. This is crazy. I look at this worshiping of such a flawed human being, such a grotesque creature. It makes no damn sense. You all should have the brain power at this point to realize, oh my God, I am protecting a pedophile. And instead, you cower away from this and think that there is going to be some sort of way out for you, that after a decade of these very legitimate evidence and the very evidence and witnesses and victims, you're going to be able to say, well, I never knew that. Like you've been living in a bunker underneath your garage for the last 40 years. No, there's a reckoning coming. And it's your souls that you're going to have to reckon with. Because this dude is clearly guilty. And they all know. And they all know. Jeff Stein will join us when we come on back. It is the Matt McNeil Show.
Hey, Minnesota, it's your favorite sexy liberal. Join me and my fellow cohorts in liberal justice weekdays from 8 to 11 on AM 950 KTNF, St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
So an atheist, a Christian, and a Buddhist walk into a church. There's no punchline. That's just what happens every Sunday at First Unitarian Society of Minneapolis. Join us for Sundays Reimagined or live stream at firstunitarian.org. Looking for community without doctrine? Questions without judgment? Think outside the pew. Join us for Sundays Reimagined at First Unitarian Society of Minneapolis or live stream at firstunitarian.org.
Turn to Auto Technical with your vehicle donation. Even though Auto Technical is a small nonprofit, we have helped more families with transportation than any organization in Minnesota. Since '94, we have reconditioned donated vehicles so they have a higher tax benefit. Call Richard at 612-919-5526, 612-919-5526, or autotech.org.
Hey, it's Alex with Buzzcut Mowing. Why spend your precious time out in the cold this fall raking, bagging, and stressing over leaves when I can handle it all for you? I provide fast, thorough, and reliable fall leaf cleanups across the West Metro. Let me do the hard work so you can stay cozy, sip your coffee, and actually enjoy the season. Visit buzzcutmowingmn.com today, and let's make your yard the envy of the neighborhood before the winter hits. Buzzcut Mowing.
Hey, it's Patrick for Zero Res. November is here, so you're probably thinking two things right now. First is, man, where did this year go? And second is, oh no, I'm hosting Thanksgiving and my house is not ready at all. So you need to call my cleaning heroes at Zero Res to get things in order before your friends and family come over to celebrate. Every surface in your home can be Zero Resified, from hardwood, carpet, tile, rugs, upholstery, and more, so you don't have to worry about your friends and family plopping down on a nasty couch. Zero Res has a 4.9 rating on Google with over 21,000 reviews, so go ahead and get clean. And don't miss this month's deal. Get 3 rooms of carpet starting at just $139 and $50 off an air duct cleaning. You just need to call 952-ZERO-RES or go to ZeroResMinnesota.com and say you want the AM 950 special. Backward or forward spells the same. Zero Res.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for sunny skies today with a high near 51. Tonight, partly cloudy with a low around 31. And Thursday, sunny with a high around 53. Make it a night to remember at Crooner's Supper Club. Incredible live music, 4-star food, handcrafted drinks, and first-class service, all in the classic supper club setting. Don't miss out. Visit croonersmn.com to plan your perfect night out. That's croonersmn.com.
ATNF AM 950, St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul.
Jeff. J-E-F-F, Jeff. J-E-F-F, Jeff. J-E-F-F, Jeff.
Jeff Stein's our national and presidential expert, noted author. You can find his books at your favorite book retailer. The Iowa Politics Report and the Iowa Business Report come to us from KXEL in Cedar Falls, Waterloo, where he is joining us today. Jeff, did you see the Aurora Borealis last night? I mean, they were supposedly down by you in Iowa. Did they get in the sky?
It was a big thing throughout the state of Iowa, but I live in the woods, and so I didn't see anything. But the photos that I saw people post on the socials, including yours, thank you very much. No, they were, people were just all about it. And I looked out the window and said, trees.
Someone told me that someone who is a big Aurora fan, they will go up into like the Churchill in Canada and Iceland and stuff. They said it was the most visible they've seen them outside of those areas. And so, yeah, it was a pretty special time. And yeah, it was good to see. I'm getting the pleasantries out the door right now.
So how are the kids?
No, did you see that story about the Colorado River? Sure sounds they've got a mess there on how the states can share that water supply. Anywho, I want to go to the first email. This is in the Guardian story, and I want to read this line to you. And this is the one that I think this is the most damning thing, and it's the one that no one's really reporting on. This is Epstein talking to Maxwell. This is in April of 2011. I want you to realize that the dog that hasn't barked is Trump. The victim spent hours at my house with him. He has never been mentioned. Maxwell says, I've been thinking about that.
Yes.
This is in 2011.
Saturday, April 2nd, 2011. I'm looking at it right now.
This is them saying that Trump was with an underage girl for an extended period of time. Period. I mean, and we all know that Donald Trump wasn't wowing her with his banjo antics. No,
is that what you call it? The banjo antics.
He wasn't saying, let me tell you about how great business is. No, he wasn't. Donald Trump he sits and talks to freaking cheeseburgers. This was not exactly hours of merit scholar debate. It's clear to me that they're saying Donald Trump was having sex with an underage girl for hours in an email. We have that on top of all the other stuff that has come on out, which is not good. I mean, the acknowledgement that in the one thing to Wolf, where he says, where they're talking about the queuing, this is leading up to the election in 2015, this is December 2015, how we should craft an answer for Trump on how he deals with Epstein, and he should think he should hang himself. Wolf responded, Wolf says, if he says he hasn't been on the plane or to the house, that gives you valuable PR and political currency. So that's them basically admitting the house and the plane are not good places to be. That's their acknowledgement.
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
one. And then two, that Trump has been on both at the house and on the plane. Those are two clear things stated in that statement. This is one. It's the worst kept secret at this point in political history, and yet there still seems to be this with mounting and just. If anyone else had this much evidence against them, they would be in jail for the rest of their lives at this point. And yet here we are still them saying this is a nothing burger. And
Well, the White House press secretary said these emails prove that Mr. Trump is not guilty. Did you hear her say that today?
I heard her. Well, she's very, okay. Surgeons are not so deliberate with their words. She very specifically did not deny that Trump had been with an underage girl for hours. She basically kind of skipped past that. So she's doing the Spiro Agnew,
nice.
negative nabobs of negativity, non-denial denials, where she basically she's saying, oh, this is all, this is bunk without basically specifically denying actual allegations.
So there are a couple of things, and I am looking at the emails from the AP story, and it's the same ones that you've quoted. Now, this is Michael Wolff, email to Jeffrey Epstein, December 2015, as you mentioned. First of all, did you notice Epstein's email address?
No, what is it?
It's his initials, J-E-E, Jeffrey E. Epstein, and then the word vacation. His email address, Matthew, is jeevacation@gmail.com. Nothing going on here. It's
not like he's booking cruise trips or anything like that.
He was booking trips.
No, not on the cruise ship though. Yeah.
You get on the Lido deck with that one. But this is, and again, I'm just going to go back and repeat because this is Epstein asking Wolff, if we were able to craft an answer for him, what do you think it should be? That suggests there's contact, or that Epstein thinks there might be contact. Okay, I'm willing to believe that it's parsed that much. Here's Wolff's response. I think you should let him hang himself.
Yes.
If he says he hasn't been on the plane or to the house, then that gives you, Epstein, valuable PR and political currency. It's almost like, let him say whatever he wants because you're going to win either way. Now, there was one other email that I saw here.
Well, okay. There was one. Did you see are you talking about the one that went to Rumler? Okay, I'll get to that one here. You go with yours.
This is another Wolff email, an email from Mr. Vacation to Michael Wolff, and this is 2019. So this is January of 2019. Trump said he asked me to resign from Mar-a-Lago.
Yeah.
I've never been a member. Okay, don't care about that. The next part's great. Of course he knew about the girls as he asked Ghislaine, or however you pronounce her stupid name, to stop. Okay. I don't know how did anybody who swam in that water in his circles at all not know about the girls? Right? I mean, the best that Trump had, wasn't it, to say, I told him to stop poaching the girls that I have working for me.
Yes.
Okay, so
we know that from earlier releases. And basically, he was angry. Him and Epstein had a falling out because Epstein was taking Mar-a-Lago employees and putting them in his hire as sex trafficked girls
or massage therapists. Yeah. I don't know that the memo on the paycheck said trafficked sex victim.
But you think that there was a paycheck? Do you think there was an HR department issuing this? I think there was wads of cash, and there you go.
Well, there's so many places to go, and it's going to get you knocked off the air in Seattle, so I'm not going to do it. But of course, tons of people knew how dirty this operation was, even if they did not themselves participate. Now, the proper thing to do as a citizen is to say, excuse me, officer, you need to go look over there. But obviously, I hate to say it, most people wouldn't. They just let it go. So at the very least, you've got knowledge and failure to report. And then you've got all of these other things where, at the very least, in Epstein's mind, he had currency. And now, as of this very moment, as you and I are talking, Arizona has a congresswoman again.
And the petition apparently has been signed. And we're going to get to Nancy Mason Boebert because there was a full court press on them today to take their names off that petition, which, once again, another major sign of they all know what's going on here. Two things about points you brought up. One is, as you talk about, everyone knew. You had Prince Andrew here. This is a royalty. This is not just some schlub coming in off the street at Mar-a-Lago. This is a family member of the British royal family coming in. They all knew, something was going on. There clearly was. Also, I want to put on that email you just brought up about that he's about Trump, that he knew. That was in 2019. That was, and he knew, and very clearly Epstein does point out, he knew exactly what Maxwell was doing. That 2019 shows you that the heat had finally gotten so much, as he was in his first term a lame duck at that point, that he could not keep the people at bay. And so basically that was kind of the whole point. I'm going to go to the other email. Now this is, and forgive me, I'm going to try to find this here. This is an email between Epstein and Catherine Rumler, a lawyer who served as White House counsel under Obama. She's currently the chief legal officer for the general counsel at Goldman Sachs. This is an email. This was in regards to Cohen pleading guilty to crimes. Okay. I thought, and this was in 2015. I think this was 2015, right? No, excuse me, 2018. This is a 2018 email thread, August 23rd, 2018.
And here's what's important about that. What is Donald Trump's role on that date?
On August 23rd, 2018. Not what, remind me.
President of the United States.
Oh, well, he's president. Oh, yeah. He got the midterm elections coming up at that point, too.
I'm just saying, sitting president of the United States.
So Rumler sends Epstein. I thought you'd find this interesting. Basically the story about Cohen. She wrote in the same thread, it makes no difference whether it was money. Issue is failure to disclose, plus fact that he has lied his ass off about makes it clear that he knew it was illegal. Epstein replies, you see, I know how dirty Donald is. My guess is his non-lawyer New York biz people have no idea what it means to have your fix or flip. So basically he's, it's okay.
Now I'll tell you something. Now that email, I understand in concert with the rest. Okay. So I'm not being ignorant of that. It is true. And we talked about this, since they put a microphone in front of each of us. Look, somebody in Trump's position has a fixer for all manner of things. And Epstein is right. When your fixer flips, you've got a problem. And we have said that from the beginning of time. That doesn't
Nixon.
automatically
C. Nixon.
C, comma, Nixon, comma, RM. Yes, that's correct. Good. So it doesn't automatically take you to the next place. And for Epstein to say, look, I know how dirty Donald is. You really think New York business is clean? I doubt it. Okay. So there's a lot of, I mean, I could parse that email, but to your point, put it with all the rest, right? And again, 23,000 documents provided by Epstein's estate to the Oversight Committee. Now, there are a lot of people who are honking about the fact that Democrats are releasing these today to score political points because the House is going to vote to approve the deal, whatever, to reopen the government, et cetera. I don't care why they release them or the timing. They're not disputing the veracity of them.
Exactly. It's all attacking Democrats, not attacking the truthful facts that are in these. It's a smear campaign. Well, the guy that you're accusing of doing it is dead. So, and let's be honest, most of us think that you offed him. And these emails, by the way, don't clean that little mess up, do they? No, they don't.
No, and the other thing, here's the, I don't know that Trump cares. Okay. So put that aside. There's one person who is not happy that these are released publicly today. And that is Ms. Maxwell, who was really hoping for a commutation of sentence. Not going to happen.
I wondered, you saw that story about Raskin basically pointing out what her prison experience is like right now. And basically it's like a spa she's in right now. Mm-hmm. I wonder if these got released in response to that, saying, okay, this woman should not be pardoned. Let's just show you what she has been part of. And I think that might have been in place.
It's all part of it. But again, why today? Well, you now can have the vote to have the documents released. You have who cares if it's a leak? Again, because they're not arguing veracity. Mm-hmm. They're arguing timing and motive. And yes, the story about the Hilton that Maxwell is staying at, the story about Republicans wanting to take a victory lap at reopening the government, et cetera, et cetera. I don't care what the timing is. Most people assume the government is already reopened. That's the sad fact of it. So I don't care what they do tonight in the House chamber. We already think it's open and we have moved on. And this is your new topic du jour.
Well, and I'll say this, two things. One is that Speaker Johnson set this up himself when he just didn't swear in the Arizona rep when he could have. They could have still had this, but the fact that was hanging over his head when he brought back the House made this a front page news as well. On top of that, Trump, I think he does care. He is so concerned about his legacy that he does not want this to go on. I'll tell you what, more on this when we come on back. Jeff Stein joining us for his usual Wednesday visit. It's the Matt McNeil Show.
We've all seen the effects of wood smoke pollution this year, so before hosting that backyard bonfire, follow these simple tips to protect yourself, others, and the environment. Remember to give your neighbors a heads up before building a fire so those who find wood smoke bothersome can close their windows. Make sure to never burn wet or recently cut wood, other yard waste, plastic, or garbage. These things can be toxic when burned and create excess smoke. For more tips on how to burn responsibly, visit epa.gov/burnwise.
Across this country, LGBTQ rights are under threat. This is a struggle that the LGBTQ community knows all too well. Since 1987, Outfront Minnesota has been fighting for LGBTQ rights and protections here at home, and this work is needed now more than ever. Hard-fought wins here in the state of Minnesota are at risk, from the ban on the harmful practice of conversion therapy that passed in 2023 to transgender protection secured in our State Human Rights Act in 1993, and even national recognition of our same-sex marriage protections that we secured in 2013 are at risk. Outfront Minnesota has helped Minnesota become a national leader in LGBTQ rights, and they will hold the line to make sure we don't lose what we've gained. But they need you. Now is the time to step up and support Outfront Minnesota and LGBTQ rights here in our state. Outfront Minnesota needs your financial support today to strengthen LGBTQ protections at home, at school, and at the state capitol. Learn more and make your gift at outfront.org/give. That's outfront.org/give.
In today's uncertain times, Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces believes that a fire can add comfort and security to your life. At Woodland, our mission is to connect you to a place for fire that works.
Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces installed our wood stove years ago, and we still love it. Watching the fire, feeling the heat, is a joy we experience every day. And knowing we have a reliable heat source makes us feel snug and safe.
There are many choices in wood, gas, or electric. For diversity in styles, at Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces, we display over 180 models, and 35 of these are burning displays. You can experience the glow and warmth of a live fire.
Whether wood, gas, or electric, find a fire that warms your heart, a fire that adds comfort and security to your life. See the many choices at Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces, located on the corner of East Franklin and Riverside Avenue in Minneapolis, and online at woodlandstoves.com.
Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces since 1977. For over 48 years, our slogan has been out of the ordinary products and services. Our mission is to get you a fireplace that works in your life.
Greg Bakken here. I've told you about the out-of-the-world roast beef sandwiches at Maverick's Real Roast Beef, but I haven't told you about their Philly steak sandwiches, turkey bacon avocado sandwich, BLT, crispy chicken, fish sandwiches, brisket, or pulled pork. Okay, you get the idea. They make a lot of delicious food to the same standard as their famous roast beef sandwiches, and now I'm starving. I'm going to go to Maverick's Real Roast Beef off Lexington and Roseville, and you need to go too. Check out their menu at mavericksbeef.com.
Broadcasting in Chicago, WCPT 820 at Chicago's Progressive Talk, 1150 AM KKNW in Seattle, and of course on AM 950, the Progressive Voice of Minnesota. It's the Matt McNeil Show on your Wednesday. Jeff Stein joining us. You want to know what a weird world we live in? This just popped up. The Wall Street Journal is reporting after flying an FBI jet to see his girlfriend sing at a wrestling match and then taking her home to Nashville, FBI Director Kash Patel took the jet to a Texas hunting resort called the Boondoggle Ranch. And I say to myself,
called the what?
Boondoggle Ranch. Exactly. Well, okay, it was only a year ago that story would have wiped out half of an administration. That story would have wiped out half of administration. It's not even on this, because when you have someone who is so obnoxiously unfit for office and you're having to constantly cover for incredibly disqualifying behavior, it just, that's what is controlling the news cycle now. I want to go to, you and I have talked about when these Epstein files got exposed, there was an emergency meeting between the White House Chief of Staff, Pam Bondi, and JD Vance. And I said, you don't just have those three people meet and if it's no big deal. That is telling me that this is a high level, we have DEFCON 1 covering trying to do. This morning, clearly, Trump was trying to take names off this list, namely Lauren Boebert and Nancy Mace. He basically has been calling them all day, trying to get them on to take their names off. Boebert had an emergency meeting this morning with Pam Bondi, Todd Blanche, and Kash Patel in the White House. Once again, not a small group of people, and they all met one House rep to talk to her about her signature on this. She, by the way, since then has said, no, I'm not taking my name off this. She's now even more convinced they know that there's some sort of massive conspiracy. This is, they're trying to.
That's what they talked about. Maybe they were talking about live theater with her. No,
Todd Blanche has got the emotional capabilities of Frankenstein, dude. I mean, come on. Maxwell, better prison.
You do look like Peter Boyle when you did the impression. It was, I'm waiting for Gene Wilder and Marty Feldman to swoop in, but nicely done.
There you go. One of the greatest moments ever in any movie ever.
Oh,
God,
put the candle back. Okay.
Yes.
Anyway,
I think you can honestly say this coming to light does not help their cause. The fact that they're frantically trying to get names off this petition. I think that this is Did
they not know that? Okay, you didn't think the Democrats would leak it when you have 23,000 documents going to the Oversight Committee? Did you not think somebody would leak those? And again, the first thing you would say is those are not verified. We dispute the accuracy. Where's the chain of custody? That's what you would do. Instead, you're going, well, now if we get, how many names do we get off the list before we can actually, come on. I presume nothing. And I have said before that I don't trust anything that comes from any of these files because everybody's been touching them. Okay. If they're verified emails with redacted names, now I'm a little more interested. But again, I don't want to say that it's a panic, but boy, this is not how you act if everything is running smoothly.
No, and you see is that the reaction from the White House tells me something is going on here. I mean, it's like you'd be like the captain of the ship saying the bow is not underwater. Just I understand that just don't pay attention to the bow. Just look towards the back of the boat, and that's kind of where they're at. Okay, so let's then turn this to the rest of the Republican Party.
Mm-hmm.
You are the Republicans in the House. You have this petition.
No,
now.
I am not.
No, but you just you get this petition that's out. You're going to have to vote on this.
Yes.
There comes a point, and as David Schuster's story points out, numerous Republicans have been made aware that the files that the FBI have do not make Trump look any better on this.
Mm-hmm.
And so here you are, you're confronted with this. Do you feel there'll be a substantial changeover and that far more Republicans will vote for the release of these files now that this petition is going to come clear the House?
Depends on what their future job goal is. Okay. For example, I've already seen there's a Republican member of the House from Iowa who is running for U.S. Senate next year. And one of her possible opponents is already calling for her to sign the legislation to go along with it. You've got another one from my state who wants to be governor. You think his position on that is going to come up in a primary, much less in a general election? I mean, you got Nancy Mace, how many of these people are leaving the burning building? Maybe they're leaving before that wing of the Capitol is torn down. I don't know. But the point is that they're having to be accountable. And this is something that's easy for people to understand. You can get into the weeds on legislation. This one's easy for the average person to understand.
2028, you're in a midterm election. Trump is not on the ballot no matter what. Can you actually, if it comes on out, especially pick your Republican that's been in office 2-3 terms in the House. How in the world are you going to be able to say, if this all comes out, and yes, this is much worse, how are you in any way, shape, or form going to be able to spin this that I was somehow just as deceived as everyone else?
Oh, you can spin it that way, but what it comes down to is you'll very quickly see how shallow the support is. Because again, we've talked before about the fact that the Trump movement is a phenomenon based on an individual, not necessarily a party. They're playing along because, he has an R by his name and they want stuff. But the speed with which people separate themselves is going to tell you, are these people who actually believe in the guy who holds the job, or are they more interested in their own electability going forward? We all know that that's what's most important to most of them.
One last thing then. So if say this comes to light and it's as bad as we think it is, but Trump somehow manages to survive, that enough, he circles the wagons, enough Republicans basically back him up and he survives. Isn't he still such damaged goods that that's irrelevant, that any kind of forced loyalty pledges are just going to be hollow shells?
Again, if you're in a re-election campaign, you got to run on the record of your own votes. Those might be bad enough by that point. Never mind the sideshow of who's in the White House.
Every Republican's so proud of their vote on the big, beautiful bill. What are you talking about, Jeff?
Some would say he has no idea what he's talking about, but he does it weekly.
Jeff Stein. I'll post the Iowa Politics Report. Chicago, Seattle. Talk to you tomorrow. Minneapolis, St. Paul, Hour 2 up next.
Celebrate the Thanksgiving season at Ferndale Market's annual Turkey Fest, happening at their on-farm store in Cannon Falls from November 21st through the 26th. It's a beautiful drive from the Twin Cities. Reserve your fresh, never frozen Thanksgiving turkey for pickup at Turkey Fest. While you're there, enjoy delicious food samples and grab lunch from a food truck. Enjoy their family-run farm. Again, that's Turkey Fest, November 21st through the 26th at Ferndale Market in Cannon Falls. If you can't make it to Cannon Falls, don't Don't worry. Use Ferndale Market's online locator to find out where you can get your 100% natural and delicious Ferndale turkey. Ferndale Market is a third-generation family farm that raises free-range, antibiotic-free turkeys. Their fresh Thanksgiving turkeys cook faster than frozen ones, giving you more time to enjoy the holiday with loved ones. Visit ferndalemarket.com for more details and to reserve your fresh turkey today. Make this Thanksgiving unforgettable with a farm fresh turkey from Ferndale Market.
It's Brad Friedman, host of the Bradcast, weeknights at 7 on AM 950. KTNF, St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
AP News, I'm Ben Thomas. A batch of new documents made public today on Jeffrey Epstein, and they do reference President Trump. Ed Donahue has the latest.
Documents released by Democrats in the House Oversight Committee show Jeffrey Epstein wrote in a 2019 email to a journalist, Donald Trump knew about the girls. Epstein also wrote in 2011, he told Ghislaine Maxwell Trump had spent hours at Epstein's house with a sex trafficking victim. At the White House, this is Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt.
These emails prove absolutely nothing other than the fact that President Trump did nothing wrong.
Leavitt says Democrats are selectively leaking the emails to smear the president.
And what President Trump has always said is that he was from Palm Beach, and so was Jeffrey Epstein. Jeffrey Epstein was a member at Mar-a-Lago until President Trump kicked him out because Jeffrey Epstein was a pedophile and he was a creep.
President Trump has consistently denied any knowledge of Epstein's crimes and has said he ended their relationship years ago. I'm Ed Donahue.
House lawmakers are returning to Capitol Hill and expected to vote this evening to end the longest federal government shutdown in U.S. history. A large majority of Democrats are expected to vote against the bill, and Representative Pramila Jayapal says there could be another shutdown in January if Republicans don't make concessions on Affordable Care Act subsidies.
I think it depends on these vulnerable House Republicans who are not going to be able to go back to their constituents without telling them that they've done something on health care.
Democrat Adelita Grijalva of Arizona is the newest member of the House. She was sworn into office today more than 7 weeks after she won a special election to fill the seat last held by her father. On Wall Street, the Dow gained more than 325 points to reach another record high, but drops in tech stocks weighed on the rest of the market. The S&P closed with a small gain and remains near its all-time high, but the Nasdaq fell, shedding 0.3%. This is AP News.
With Progressive, it's easy to reach customer service with our app, website, chat, or by phone. Because when getting help is hard, it's not help at all.
Little help. A little help over here.
Thank you for calling Bench Press Assistance.
What?
Due to excessive gym volume, all available spotters are currently lifting heavy weights off the chests of other bench pressers.
Seriously?
Please continue to hold, and we will remove the barbell from your chest in the order in which your cry for help was received.
Getting assistance should be easy. With Progressive, it is. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
On the battlefield, there's a saying America's military men and women live by. Never leave a fallen warrior behind, ever. Off the battlefield, Wounded Warrior Project operates with the same goal. Wounded Warrior Project was created to help our men and women returning home with the scars of war, whether those scars are physical or mental. Wounded Warrior Project. We never leave a fallen warrior behind, ever. Learn more about what we do at Wounded Warrior Project.
Oh, you know what that music means. It means I'm back, baby! The Grinch. Don't miss seeing me at Children's Theatre Company this holiday season. Dr. Seuss's How the Grinch Stole Christmas is great for anyone who likes classic Grinchy tunes, and me, the mean one in the flesh, or in the green fur. Make your plans to spend the holiday season with me. You'll remember it forever. Tickets and showtimes at childrenstheatre.org.
Turn to Auto Technical with your vehicle donation. We have families waiting for a car. You know, over 85% of unemployed are successful in finding and keeping a job if they have dependable transportation. A car plus a job equals a life changed. 612-919-5526. We have families waiting for a car. 919-5526 or autotech.org.
This season, bring the whole family to see Irving Berlin's White Christmas.
This smash hit musical based on the classic film returns by popular demand to delight you at Chanhassen dinner theaters. With loads of laughter and a stunning showcase of Irving Berlin songs, White Christmas is a celebration of the romance, friendship, and magic of the holidays. Make your plans today to see White Christmas. Visit chanhassendt.com.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for sunny skies today with a high near 51. Tonight, partly cloudy with a low around 31. And Thursday, sunny with a high around 53. There's only 2 weeks left to see the enormous crocodile at Children's Theater Company. This mischievous Roald Dahl adventure bursts with puppets, music, and a jungle-based imagination. Don't miss the wild finale of this hit family musical, running through November 23rd. Tickets at childrenstheater.org. That's childrenstheater.org. Portions of the following program may be pre-recorded.
Hour number 2 of the show here on your Wednesday. Matt and Patrick here. Coming up a little bit later on, Marin Ward is going to be joining us. She's with the Zamya Theater Project. They've got a new production, Living in America. The waiting list is full. We'll talk to her about not only the production, but the theater company itself, because they've been around for a while, and go out there and try to make a difference with the performances that they do. And tickets are on sale. I think they open up the show tomorrow. So we'll talk with Marin coming up here in a little bit. So Patrick, going back, because obviously we had just a smidge of news we had to get to at the top of the 3 o'clock hour. So where did you go and see? Where were you at when you saw the Northern Lights?
I went out west of Watertown.
Oh, you were. I was just south of Watertown. And so there's a lake just south of Watertown. There's a road that goes on the north side of the lake. I pulled over there and I got some spectacular shots right there.
Yeah, I started out west of Chaska. I decided to move from that spot. I went out. It was went up Highway 25. I angled left. I ended up on a dirt road with some unexpected friends. I got to watch with some cows who seemed, I think they were hungrier than they were interested in what was going on in the sky. But no, it was a great evening for sure.
No, I was out. The thing which was crazy is we drove out there, and my wife and I, initially we were driving out, we went out Highway 7. And we're driving, so we get to the west side of Lake Minnetonka, and we noticed there's just a lot of cars, and I just said, no, most of these cars are going to turn off, and most of them did. I said, I'm going to bet we're going to see a few people out looking at the Aurora Borealis, but I can't believe it's going to be a lot. We turned off on this road, and immediately there was like 5 cars within the first 10th of a mile. I'm going to say there was maybe 20 cars on that road that people had gone out, and where they came from, I'm not sure, but 20, they came out there. The thing which was amazing was I saw a great picture taken of the Cedar Avenue Bridge of the Aurora Borealis above it, and it's taken from the north side of the Minnesota River there. And so the auroras were south of us. I mean, that's pretty impressive. They were bright and south of us. That was incredible. And yes, there was a lot, that was, I said to a friend who lives, I believe she lives in Maryland this morning, I said, if you have someone who is in Minnesota because all their timeline is Aurora Borealis pictures at this point. It was, how late were you out till?
I was probably out there till about 11.
So you said it was the best around 10:30. We left at about 10, and there was definitely a little bit of a down spot there. And we got back. When we got back, we hadn't seen it pick back up, but it picked back up again then.
Yeah, it picked up just suddenly. It was very sudden. I looked up and I saw this big red, easily visible tower. And then the green kind of filled in around it. And I think I got some really amazing photos of it. It was the first time I felt like I could have run across the farm field and just wrapped myself in it. That's how close it felt.
What's amazing is what that really is. I mean, it's these solar winds, blasting into our atmosphere and creating these great wave patterns. I just love that, man. It's science. It's pretty. And yeah, it was a good time. I hope you had a good time out there. I hope it was, it was good for you, because that was spectacular. And the other thing which was crazy was you generally don't see it over the metro areas that as cleanly as people were seeing it. And I got friends who posted pictures from their houses in the suburbs and stuff There was a pretty decent picture of, I think it was Lake of the Isles, looking towards downtown Minneapolis, and you could see it over there. I saw one taken from City View Park in St. Paul, where the aurora is right over St. Paul. I mean, just spectacular. I mean, the Mounds Park, God, imagine that must have been. Did anyone get any pictures up there? You can share them with me on social media. If you were up there and you took some pictures, I'd love to see those. Just fantastic. And yeah, Minnesota kicks ass. That's FYI. Just, that's what we get up here. It's one of the main reasons why I love this state. Is it just is. It's got its unique quirks that you just don't get anywhere else, and that's one of them. That is one of them. Speaking of quirks, let me introduce you to Michael Edward Raha Jr., 19 years old. There it tells me something. This guy basically decided just, you know what, the heck with it today. He tried life, and life kind of won. A group home van driver. Wow, I got this off the Independent. This has made international news. A group home van driver who took 2 passengers on a reckless 2-hour ride in Duluth while extremely drunk and high, consistently reaching speeds of more than 100 miles an hour until he crashed into an SUV and seriously injured the other driver, according to charges. Michael Edward Raha is 19. He was charged Monday in St. Louis County District Court with criminal vehicular operation, leaving the scene of a crash involving an injury, driving without a valid license, and underage drinking in connection with his reckless behavior behind the wheel Thursday. Raha was arrested that night, remained in jail Tuesday in lieu of $75,000 bail ahead of a court appearance on December 2nd. The preliminary breath test conducted by law enforcement soon after the crash mentioned the blood alcohol content at 0.228. That is above the limit. Yes, nearly 3 times the legal limit for someone at least 21 years old to be driving in Minnesota, let alone he was underage and drinking. Are you kidding me? Yes, Police say Raha was driving the TBI Resident and Community Services, which specializes in assisting clients with traumatic brain injuries. Wow. The TBI spokesperson, Alyssa Patricio, said late Tuesday afternoon, the company declines to comment at this time. Don't blame you. According to the criminal complaint, about 6 p.m., police were dispatched to a 2-vehicle crash in Martin and Jean Duluth roads in the northeastern part of the city. Okay. At the scene, they located Raho, who'd been driving to a group home in the minivan. He had 2 passengers, one man in his late 20s, another about 60 years old. The SUV driver, a 60-year-old woman from Duluth, was taken by emergency responders to a nearby hospital suffering from 3 cracked vertebrae and a concussion. Yikes, been there. The complaint did not reveal any injuries sustained by the van's occupants. In the time leading up to the crash, callers to 911 reported Raha was driving at speeds upwards of 100 miles an hour and driving in and out of the driving lane, passing cars, the complaint read. One of his passengers told the law enforcement that Raha had been drinking alcohol before getting behind the wheel. The passenger added that Raha had been driving recklessly for the past 2 hours, by which he meant consistently driving at speeds of over 100 miles an hour, almost rear-ending other vehicles, the complaint continued. The crashes apparently were averted only because the van had that feature that automatically applies brakes when sensing a potential crash. According to charges, Raha was attempting to avoid a head-on crash with an oncoming vehicle when he hit the SUV to his right while attempting to pass it. After the crash, Raha called a coworker, admitting crashed the van, and said he had to go because he feared being caught. Well, bad news for you there, sir. Here is the craziest part about this story. As a person who has, once again, been there, done that, seen how drinking and driving is treated here, my guess is that the driving 100 miles an hour will have a far more serious punishment than the drinking and driving. I mean, and I get it. People are like, oh, we're going to throw the book at him. Well, that's great. But, there is a real inconsistent nature here. And it shouldn't take a outrageous story like this to have to get to a point where you say, yeah, maybe we should have some harsher penalties for the drinking and driving. Yeah, maybe you should. Yeah, I think you definitely should. I also wanted to talk, speaking of crime, I did want to talk about this arrest of these two teenage boys following the crime spree that included 2 carjackings, one of them targeting a Minneapolis City Council member between Monday afternoon and early Tuesday morning. Now, I want to make sure there is a problem here that we have. And it falls to a point in the same category of the abuse of the social safety net programs that we have. There are people out there that don't look at them as relief for people that need help. They look at them as easily, programs to easily rip off the taxpayer. And all they have to do is lie and they get what they want. And I think that that's a problem. There clearly is something going on in the city right now. Well, and I think it's changing, where you have this level of disaffected youth who are 15, 16, 17 years old. And the argument is, I can do all these crimes because what are they going to do? I go to juvie for a few years, or I'm basically on house arrest and I get DoorDash and Netflix. I'm not exactly going to be, having a hard time. There's a problem with that. When people are knowingly breaking the law because the expectation is you won't hold them accountable, you've got to have something more than just, well, they were crying in the witness room. I think they're really, really sorry, so we should let them go. We're going to release them back to their parents. And this is part of the problem. No one denies that when Mary Moriarty came in as the Hennepin County prosecutor, that the system needed to be fixed. We all saw Jaleel Stallings and what happened there in regards to the prosecution going, basically being racist as racist could be. There clearly was a problem here. But the solution to a heavy-handed approach is not a non-existent approach. That is just because all you're going to do is create people who are frustrated and angry because it feels as if you're allowing bad behavior to go unpunished. And frankly, you've gotten to the point where even Tim Walz and Keith Ellison feel as if the Hennepin County attorney is just not being stringent enough with punishment. Now, I will say this. I do think that she is very stringent when it comes to, white collar crime, when people embezzling money from businesses. She does seem to actually, there does seem to be an intent here saying that, no, that those crimes should be more, there should be more punishment than there has been in the past. But when it comes to what you'd call street crime, there is this, well, he's just a little boy. Well, that little boy did terrorize grown adults, and we're lucky no one died because of their behavior. And I don't think you put them into an adult jail at first, but we have to have some sort of system in place where if somebody performs a bad crime, even as a juvenile, that they can go to juvenile hall where they're supposed to be if they're underage until a certain day, and then they are taken from juvenile hall to an adult prison because the crime they committed is more than an 18 months in juvie sort of thing. And that's the case of these carjackings. Chief O'Hara announced Tuesday that the boys 15 and 16 were arrested following a 12-hour spree that started Monday afternoon, included carjacking council member Jamal Osman, whose car had been stolen around 8 p.m. Monday. So let me go through the timeline here. At 2 p.m., red Subaru Outback stolen from the 1600 block of First Avenue South, with the owner saying key man may have left in vehicle. Red Subaru seen driving recklessly near a school by the 1800 block of James Avenue North, with teens seen wearing medical masks inside the vehicle. At 5:15, woman was placing her daughter in the seat on a 600 block of Elwood Avenue North when a red Subaru pulled up. Male suspect exited the vehicle, got into her driver's seat, and began to drive away. The victim shielded her daughter and back as a suspect punched her in the head and face. The suspect eventually jumped from the moving vehicle at the 700 block of Humboldt Avenue and fled. The two teens in the red Subaru approached a woman in the 1600 block of Hennepin Avenue and began rummaging through her vehicle while she ran inside to lock the door. At 6:31, a man in a Subaru Legacy was carjacked by a male suspect who opened his driver's door and ordered him out. At least 2 suspects claimed to have a gun, though none were seen. The suspects arrived in the red Subaru and fled in both vehicles, though the Legacy was later recovered. Councilmember Jamal Osman was carjacked at Lake Street and Portland Avenue by a suspect who arrived in a blue-gray Subaru Legacy and parked in front of Osman's white Volkswagen Atlas. The 2 male suspects threatened Osman with mace, while the other implied he had a gun. The suspect stole Osman's Atlas, fled in the Subaru Legacy. The Legacy and the Atlas were spotted by police heading westbound on Lake Street near Pillsbury. Both vehicles fled and struck multiple uninvolved vehicles. The 2 boys then fled on foot, were caught after short pursuit. A replica gun was found at the scene. The Legacy was recovered, but the Atlas fled, suggesting another suspect was involved. It was later found unoccupied nearby. So they've got these 2. Does that sound like a list of crimes that deserve a stern finger wagging? I would make an argument, considering the level of threat that these kids did do, and I will say they're kids. Their brains haven't developed. Well, their brains can freaking develop in juvie and in prison, for goodness sakes. There is a disconnect from society that's going on here. I had 15 and 16-year-olds. I had 3 of them. None of them did anything like this. I don't want to hear about this. I mean, I raised my own kids, and none of them at any point decided to go on a carjacking spree throughout the city. And I understand circumstances and life experiences are different, but we all, I think, agree multiple carjackings and threats and threatening and intimidation and possibly killing people with cars is something slightly more than you took a bit of honey from the cash register candy aisle. Well, shame on you. What caught me as interesting here is that O'Hara clearly seems to feel that that going to the Hennepin County attorney is not enough. He says he's going to hand off the case to the U.S. attorney for more severe criminal charges can be pursued. And it tells you that there is a failure, I think, at the Hennepin County attorney's office to take stuff like this as serious as it is. This isn't one mistake. This isn't something minor no. This isn't, for an example, this isn't a scared kid who thinks he's going to get beaten up at school, bringing a gun to school, and it's in their backpack, and they find it there, and they have it. Yeah, obviously he shouldn't be bringing the gun to school, but there are, situations there. This is repeated serious crime after repeated serious crime after repeated serious crime, threat after threat after threat. You have to kind of treat it seriously. And it doesn't sound like Chief O'Hara trusts the Hennepin County attorney to do so. And I don't kind of blame him. If you want to know the truth, I don't. I think you definitely, once again, had to have some changes to the system. But the solution to a heavy-handed system is not a non-existent punishment system. Those 2 things are the problem. You have to find the middle ground. And there is nothing wrong with saying, well, I'm sorry that you're a kid and that you did this, but you did something here that warrants a little bit more than just a stern finger wagging. 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. Take a break, come on back. It is the Matt McNeil Show here on your Wednesday.
Across this country, LGBTQ rights are under threat. This is a struggle that the LGBTQ community knows all too well. Since 1987, Outfront Minnesota has been fighting for LGBTQ rights and protections here at home, and this work is needed now more than ever. Hard-fought wins here in the state of Minnesota are at risk, from the ban on the harmful practice of conversion therapy that passed in 2023 to transgender protection secured in our State Human Rights Act in 1993, and even national recognition of our same-sex marriage protections that we secured in 2013 are at risk. Outfront Minnesota has helped Minnesota become a national leader in LGBTQ rights, and they will hold the line to make sure we don't lose what we've gained. But they need you. Now is the time to step up and support Outfront Minnesota and LGBTQ rights here in our state. Outfront Minnesota needs your financial support today to strengthen LGBTQ protections at home, at school, and at the state capitol. Learn more and make your gift at outfront.org/give. That's outfront.org/give.
Would you let animals pick your insurance? Do you really need to experience mayhem to get the best rates? Or how about a celebrity quarterback or fake university saving you money? There's a lot of marketing stunts when it comes to insurance, but what you really need is someone looking out for you. Call Array Insurance, and they will work hard to find you the best insurance coverage and rates. So avoid gimmicks and call Cheryl at Array, 763-504-3067 or arrayinsurance.com. Array Insurance, working hard for you.
Crooners is a classic supper club with a wide range of entertainment. Make your reservations for a parade of international, national, and local artists in the main stage showroom, the intimate Dunsmore Jazz Room, or outdoors at the seasonal Belvedere Under the Stars space. Or enjoy Maggie's Piano Lounge. Enjoy 4-star food and drinks with first-class supper club service. What are you waiting for? Go to croonersmn.com for more information and schedule. That's croonersmn.com.
It is the Matt McNeil Show. Well, so I had the carjacking thing, and we talked about the guy up in Duluth that running down there. It's like, obviously, these metro areas are out of control. That's right. These metro areas are out of control. I mean, here's another one here. And this looks like premeditated murder with a freaking sledgehammer. Are you kidding me? Once again, the metro area. Because if you try this in a small town, come on, they're not going to let you get away with something like this. In a small town, they don't let you do this. They don't let you do these sort of things in a small town. A woman is dead and a brutal assault at her workplace in Cokato. Okay, so yeah. I'm doing this because I am tired of this narrative that nothing bad ever happens in rural Minnesota, while nothing good ever happens. All the crime happens in Minneapolis, St. Paul. That's just not true. Bad things happen everywhere, and that is horrible. But only weak people who have inferiority complexes constantly try to find ways to vilify other things to try to make themselves feel better about their own lives. I can't help you with that. But that try that in a small town, you're the people that argue that. You don't get this kind of thing in a small town. Well, apparently you do. Prosecutors detailed the allegations in a criminal complaint filed early Wednesday against a 40-year-old David Bruce DeLong, white guy, who reportedly told authorities he did not like the woman, identified as 20-year-old Amber Check of Hutchinson, and he planned to kill her for some time. Yikes. The Wright County Sheriff's Office says deputies were dispatched to Advanced Process Technologies around 6 a.m. on Tuesday after a 911 call reporting an employee was found at her workstation suffering from significant head trauma. Deputies and paramedics arrived and attempted life-saving measures, but Check was pronounced dead at the scene. The initial investigation indicated that a male co-worker, soon identified as DeLong, had assaulted her with a blunt object. The suspect was taken to custody and charged with second-degree murder on Wednesday. Court documents say surveillance video from the workplace showed DeLong leaving his workstation, walking up to Check's workstation. He's seen grabbing a sledgehammer and hitting Check forcefully in the head and then striking her 4 more times as she lay on the ground. Deputies advised him of his rights. DeLong allegedly told him he intended to kill Check, did not like her, and he planned to attack for some time. Dear Lord. Dear Lord. I keep thinking about this guy. This guy was walking around in this town yesterday, the day before. I mean, this guy, it's somebody who clearly was on the verge of a snapping at any moment, and goes on out, and here's this 20-year-old woman. 20. This stuff happens everywhere. The problem when all you do is try to offset this and say it never happens here, it only happens there, is that you're not serious about actually solving crime. You're only serious about blaming other places for all the crime and acting like they're the problem. Unless you can get your authoritarian methods in, then basically there's no point, that everything's going to die, blah, 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 blah. See standard "we hate Minneapolis" promo videos that have been put out by various people. The problem is that here is a person who probably clearly was showing some signs of mental strain and duress, and probably somebody should have been watching him. But hey, white guy in Cokato, no one tries that in a small town. And apparently No one saw anything up until this guy, quote unquote, snapped. I have talked about this a lot in regards to the ridiculous number of conservatives who are caught sexually abusing children. And the fact that Republicans are only concerned about vilifying the LGBTQ and transgender community particularly, and that's the only kind of sexual assault problem that they concern themselves. And it makes you wonder how many times somebody who has been working with one of these people that's sexually assaulting kids probably should have noticed some bad behavior going on, but because, hey, white guy in a conservative park, it can't possibly be anything wrong, they chose to ignore overwhelming evidence that something bad was going on. Bad things happen everywhere. Yes, there is crime in Minneapolis. Absolutely. Undeniably. City council member had a carjacked from them. There are things that you need to do to deal with these things, but to try to use that as some sort of way of no crime ever happens anywhere else, or that's a private matter, Matt. How dare you bring up what happens in small town America? No, you can't solve problems unless you know them. And part of the problem here we can talk about definitely. Is there enough mental health help in Cokato? Are the police aware of any incidences where this guy was showing some threatening behavior? Was there an interventionist? Was there people at the office were they aware that there's something going on here? There are a lot of questions we could ask, and we should ask, because you can't solve crime by A, acting like it never happens, and B, acting like the solution is someone else's problem. I'll be fair about it. Yeah, that carjacking thing. Oh, the thing in Duluth, dear Lord. The carjacking thing in Minneapolis. Yeah, bad, horrible, wrong. Yep, 100%. But we should try to solve these problems, like the carjacking problem, like the murder in Cokato, equally. We should say to ourselves as a society, these things should not happen anywhere, as opposed to just giddily enjoy reading the news about bad things happening someplace else and acting like no bad things happen where you live. Just saying. 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. When we do come on back, Maren Ward's going to join us. The Zamia Theater production group has got a brand new production out there. This is called Living in America. The waiting list is full. We'll talk to her about that and as well the organization itself. It is the Matt McNeil Show here on your Wednesday.
Hi, I'm Scott Shamblot from Shamblot Family Dentistry. We're the fear-free, shame-free dental office. We know dental anxiety and dental phobia are real. We'll take the time to get to know you and give you what you need to be comfortable at all times. We offer free nitrous oxide laughing gas and have high-tech options to help you feel calm and relaxed during your appointments. We'll help you get through every appointment in the most pain-free way possible. If you're having a dental emergency, we'll try and get you in the same day you call because we don't like to see anyone in pain. As my daughter Rachel says,
if you don't see my dad, please see another dentist. Take care of your teeth because they're the only ones you get.
This is Chad, owner of AM 950. I've been going to Shamblot Family Dentistry for years. They get me in last minute when I'm in pain and make regular checkups easy and comfortable.
Shamblot Family Dentistry in Hopkins and St. Paul. Find them online at shamblotfamilydentistry.com or call 1-800-FIX-MY-TEETH.
Peace of mind shouldn't cost a fortune. We keep things simple at Schroman Law because we believe planning for your estate and end-of-life care shouldn't be stressful or expensive. Every client relationship starts with a free consultation so clients have the information they need before making important decisions. From there, we work closely with clients to ensure they are choosing the most efficient and cost-effective plans for their specific needs. Schedule a free consultation today at schromanlaw.com. That's SCHROMEN law.com.
Turn to Auto Technical with your vehicle donation. Even though Auto Technical is a small nonprofit, we have helped more families with transportation than any organization in Minnesota. Since '94, we have reconditioned donated vehicles so they have a higher tax benefit. Call Richard at 612-919-5526, 612-919-5526, or autotech.org.
In today's uncertain times, Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces believes that a fire can add comfort and security to your life. At Woodland, our mission is to connect you to a place for fire that works.
Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces installed our wood stove years ago, and we still love it. Watching the fire, feeling the heat is a joy we experience every day. And knowing we have a reliable heat source makes us feel snug and safe.
There are many choices in wood, gas, or electric. For diversity and styles, at Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces, we display over 180 models, and 35 of these are burning displays. You can experience the glow and warmth of a live fire.
Whether wood, gas, or electric, find a fire that warms your heart, a fire that adds comfort and security to your life. See the many choices at Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces, located on the corner of East Franklin and Riverside Avenue in Minneapolis, and online at woodlandstoves.com.
Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces since 1977. For over 48 years, our slogan has been, out of the ordinary products and services. Our mission is to get you a fireplace that works in your life.
With a look at your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilia. Tonight, partly cloudy with a low of 31, then Thursday, sunshine with a high of 54. Heat up these cold nights with the hottest musical acts around at Crooner's Supper Club. Crooner's is located just north of I-694 off Highway 65 and Moore Lake Drive. Visit croonersmn.com to view their schedules and food menus.
AM 950 KTNF, St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul.
It is the Matt McNeil Show. Good to have you with us here today. 952-946-6205. The Zamya Theater Project is presenting Living in America. The waiting list is full. As part of Hunger and Homeless Awareness Week, Zamya Theater Project proudly presents this Living in America. The waiting list is full. A new ensemble creative production that blends humor, history, and lived experience to ask three urgent questions. What is public housing? Why is public housing? And why is the wait list full? Joining us to talk about that, as well as the theater company itself, Maren Ward is a Twin Cities performer, director, community-based theater maker, named Best Theater Performer in 2018 by Minnesota Monthly Magazine. She's been Zamya's creative director since it started in 2004. She's been awarded the McNeil Theater Artist Fellowship, and she's attended the Cornerstone Institute for Community-Based Theater and the Sojourn Theater Center for Performance and Civic Practice Institute. And she's kind enough to take it today to take some time to talk about this production. Hey, Maren, how are you?
Oh, I'm doing good. I'm here at the library where we've got our show having its final dress rehearsal next door, and I am happy to be talking with you.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate the time because I know you're busy. You've got the show starting up, and we're going to get to that show. But I want you to talk a little bit about Zamya Theater. I mean, because you guys have been around for a while, and it seems like, you know, you're, if I'm not mistaken, just looking through some of the videos I was looking at today, I mean, you are trying your hardest to address real world cultural issues, societal issues within the city that basically are completely and totally ignored most of the time, not just in theater, but anywhere. And it feels like your theater is taking its onus to go on out there and say, no, these are issues out there and we need to talk about them.
Yeah, for sure. That is, speaks right to the founding impulse of Zamya. Zamya was started, we're in our 21st year, so we've been around for a minute. And our founder was her name is Leisha Grossman, and she was a average citizen who was noticing. I mean, she started noticing what she saw as an increase of people she interpreted as experiencing homelessness, and she wanted to talk about it. And she asked herself, she wanted to talk about it. She wanted to learn about it. She wanted to learn with people, and she wanted to do something, but she didn't want to do something without really understanding more what created homelessness and what helps people who are experiencing that. And she realized she really needed to be able to have interactions with people. And she thought about what's the container in which you could have a kind of equal footing and a creative conversation. And she came to theater, and she organized a group of people to do a project in 2004 where we brought together people who were currently experiencing homelessness and people who, like Leisha, didn't have much experience with the topic at all, and came together to create theater production together. And I was, a theater maker as the bio you read explains, that's my background, and I met Leisha at this time and was a part of the group of people who put that first show on, and we've been, it was a profound experience for the audience and for the participants, and so we decided to keep doing it, and now we've grown into a year-round company, and like you saw on our YouTube page, lots of different ways of approaching the topic and the issue, and then the process, which brings people together. And both, we're both educating community with the plays, but also building relationships as we make the work and as we engage different partners. And so it's both the process and the product of the theater that makes a difference.
There's a lot of theaters that will try to do stuff, and they'll go get a cow and a curtain and put on a show, and it's kind of one of those things where sometimes it's misguided and stuff. There's a decision you guys seem to make, and you just briefly touched on it. You decided, okay, if we're going to talk about this, if we're going to do productions about this, it's one thing for a bunch of people that have not experienced homelessness or don't have a lot of experience with the homelessness to try to speak on their behalf. And you guys approach the homeless community to try to get a better, more rounded, more realistic interpretation of what is going on. Talk a little bit about that decision, because that is the linchpin. That's what makes what you guys are doing different than other theaters, because it really is immersing yourself into the problem.
Yeah, and I think, sometimes I've said before, like we say we make theater about housing, but we might as well say we're making theater about being human, because housing is so fundamentally connected to our humanity. And so for as many people as we've met, there's that many different stories and that many different causes or solutions for the issue. And there are some common threads and some things that do come up over and over again, and public housing being one of them, which is what leads us to our current production. How we are funding housing solutions, and how housing is, the variety, the variety of options that exist for people being limited. And so that's kind of what leads us to the current show.
Well, and let's definitely talk a little bit about that. So, Living in America, the waiting list is full, is the new production. And as you said, it opens up tomorrow, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So it does open up, and we'll get to all that here in just a second.
Okay. Yeah.
But so as you've been, what was the approach here? Was there a certain issue, a news story, an individual what got the conversation started that led to this production?
Well, our company manager, Esther Ure, is an artist who's been working in the community for decades, and she has this title that means everything for Zamia. So she does everything, and does a lot of supporting people and working with people one-on-one, and has a lot of different backgrounds. But she herself had a very powerful experience with public housing when she was a single mom, recently divorced, and had lost her housing and had 2 children. And she learned about a new public housing unit that was being built on the West Bank of Minneapolis, and it had a 3-week waiting list. And she got on the waiting list, and she got into that housing and was there for some years, a few years, and then until she got a Section 8 voucher, and then was able to move into housing that was income-based. And then from there, was able to put kind of life together, and now owns her own house. And she just really sees it as a part of her own journey of being able to be stable, and recognizes that, like, the whole idea of public housing in the first place was about giving people a place to land after World War I and get back on their feet. And we just don't have it as much anymore. And it was kind of that personal experience combined with how many stories we've heard from our company members, about some of whom have grown up in public housing or live in it now, or who are looking for housing. And we can kind of see where that would it's both the availability of what kind of housing is available and how affordable is it, but also kind of how does the income of it, who is the income from the housing supporting? Like who's really, benefiting from the income of the housing? So I think that was the initial inspiration. And then we do these creative expression sessions, they're called, at the Minneapolis Central Library. We've been doing them every Tuesday morning from 8:30 to 10:30 in the morning for the last 5 years. We take a break sometimes, but we're here most Tuesdays, and we serve coffee, and we have the doors open, and people, many of whom are currently unhoused, coming to use the library, and coming in sometimes after being unsheltered, coming in to use the lobby for warmth. And we offer coffee and a place for people to connect to other people and share stories. And it's kind of through those workshops that we developed this piece. We introduced different themes. So Esther had this idea of introducing public housing as a theme, and that's how we made this show.
All right. You guys, just by that expression, how are you guys doing theater and not doing policy? I mean, it's, you are doing something for a theater production, and I'm not taking anything away from that. I think this is a wonderful idea, but you guys clearly are doing what policy people should be doing, immersing yourself in the community, talking to people, meeting with people on a regular basis, finding out what the circumstances are. I mean, I love your explanation of the housing crisis, because I think that what you just did there and showing how housing is difficult and how to get into government housing, then get the voucher and then possibly get a house, that this is not an easy process, and it's a long term. And that we can talk about the conditions of the housing and stuff like this. I find it wonderful that there are so many people that are concerned about homelessness, because this is a big problem, especially in Minneapolis, St. Paul. But your knowledge of the issue, I know a few politicians I need to send to your shows.
Oh yeah, please do.
because it seems, and especially in Minneapolis, and I'll just say this, I mean, they almost seem to have given up on homelessness in the city of Minneapolis. Here you are proving is like, no, you don't have to give up on it. You just have to freaking care. And that's what your organization seems to do.
Yeah, I mean, I think speaking of policy and politicians, we are working to connect some folks to the show by having these post-show panels after a couple of shows. And we have the Center for Urban and Regional Affairs from the U is organizing these panels and has invited a range of people, from policy researchers, and there's a couple of government folks. There's Orrin Chaudhry, council member, and Kathy Tenbrook, who runs the Minnesota Interagency Council on Homelessness. And some other folks from the Street Voices of Change will be part of these panels. And so we're hoping to have some discussions that bridge what comes up in the show with things that are happening in the community and ways people can engage in sort of what's actually being talked about. The show also talks about the way this happens in other countries. There's a really great scene that talks about 5 different places in the world where they have really inspiring public housing models. And it would be our hope to see some of those kind of start to take root and exist here in the city, because we know that people in the city care. We know we have a really active city of people who are participating and trying to really support people as they're struggling, and we know we can do it. So it's kind of like, let's expand our imagination a bit.
And it once again, it's just the simpleton's mentality is always going to be just get a job and you get a one place, and you don't understand the complexities and the nuances, and once again, homelessness is not something which is it is in such a linear problem. It's just not that simple.
Right.
And it's also multifaceted, because there's many issues outside of that are problems, availability, mental health issues, stuff like this. I find that your passion to put on these issues and talk and do these plays is very commendable. And I'm glad you guys are continuing to do this, because let's be honest, there are times where you're probably the only real voices out there putting this issue out in people's faces. And and by the way, let's go back to the theater side. That's kind of what theater does. It kind of, brings unpleasant things and makes people talk about them.
Yeah, we that's our hope, is that people come to see the show and then are able to kind of put it together with other things that they see going on, and that it inspires people to do what they can in their sphere of influence to keep us moving towards a community that can house everybody.
One of the things here we got to talk about, and I want to give you some time here, because it's as opposed to one theater. And when we usually talk about a theater performance, it's usually one theater, and here's where there's the box office sort of thing. You're doing this production in various locations. Living in America, the waiting list is full. From the Zamia Theater Project, you are going to be opening up tomorrow. You're going to have 2 performances tomorrow, correct, at the Minneapolis Central Library?
Yes, that's right. We have our preview, our preview performance in the afternoon, and then in the evening is our opening right here at the library. Yep.
All right, then you have this weekend on Saturday and Sunday. Where are you at? Where are you guys going to be performing?
We're going to be at 825 Arts, which is a new art space on University in St. Paul.
Yeah.
And it's a really unique space, and it's been a lot of different things. It was opened as a kind of a vaudeville theater, and then it's also been an electronics store and a speakeasy, and and they've just recently remodeled it, but they've kept a lot of the old structure in place, and it's a really beautiful new small thriving community space that we're excited to be back in. We performed our show Prairie Homeless Companion in it last year, and so we're excited to be back at 825 Arts. And then on Tuesday we're going to go to Purpose Center for Arts Education, the Arts High School, and perform for them. That's a private show for the high school. And then we get to go to Marvella Homes, which is a new senior housing facility in the Highland Park neighborhood, and we're out partnering too with Restoring Waters, Emma Norton, which is a newer affordable housing right there in the same kind of development area. So those 2 audiences will come together and see a show. And then our last public performance is at Westminster Presbyterian Church on Friday, November 21st, and we're part of their performing arts series, and they have a really beautiful performance hall that we're going to be in.
What I want to do is for everyone now, here are the public performances. These are the ones that you'll be able to get tickets for.
Yes.
Minneapolis Central Library, 2 tomorrow, 1 at 2 p.m. That's the preview. 6 p.m. has got the other show. Saturday and Sunday, St. Paul side gets in on it. 825 Arts Building on 825 University. And then on Friday, November 21st at Westminster Presbyterian Church on Marquette in Minneapolis, 12th and Marquette. You can go catch the show there. ZamiaTheater.org? Is that where you can find tickets?
Yes, ZamiaTheater.org. That's have all the information about the show and links for all the tickets. Yes.
All right. I'll make sure I link to everything on my social media pages later, so go find all the connections there. Maren, congratulations on this. Well done. Good job and nice job. I think that the fact that you guys have been going for 20 plus years, it shows that you're resonating because you're bringing up topics that people need to talk about, and I think people see that. So congratulations to the organization, as well as congratulations on this latest production.
Oh, thanks so much. Thanks for helping us promote it.
My
Appreciate
pleasure.
it.
My pleasure.
Yeah.
Let's take a break. Come on back. It is the Matt McNeil Show here on your Wednesday.
All right, bye. Thanks so much.
Hi, it's Penny from Nightingale in Minneapolis. Since 2012, we've been your go-to dining spot near 26th and Lyndale in South Minneapolis. Indulge in classics like our scallops, steak tartare, Nightingale burger, and the irresistible chocolate pot de creme. Chef Carrie keeps it fresh with seasonal dishes. We have craft cocktails and curated wines for anyone's taste. And Mondays mean half-price wine bottles. Open daily 5 p.m. to 1 a.m. with the full menu until midnight. Join us at Nightingale, where good times and great flavors come together.
Hi, I'm Corey Wisco, president of the Welshire. The Welshire is a community that provides memory care to its residents, and we have a location in Bloomington and also another one that we just opened in Medina, Minnesota. But the big question is that why do people come to Welshire? Many of the people coming to Welshire are coming from other memory care communities where they maybe haven't received bathing they've had problems taking medication or inconsistency with staffing, Wilshire has never used a temporary staff. We always have our own people, and it's those people that make the difference. We have always felt it so important to have 24-hour nursing in the building. The other thing is you have to have an amazing activity team. Nobody employs more activity people than Wilshire. Our activities begin in the morning, go all the way through the evening, 7 days a week. So if you have a loved one that needs memory care, come visit WilshireMN.com and book a tour today.
Hi, this is Ryan, owner of Snap Construction. It's been great working with so many of the passionate AM 950 listeners over the years. We have realized how important AM 950 is to the community. I want to see AM 950 continue to grow and continue to thrive into the future. To help continue to grow, Snap Construction will be putting up proceeds to assist the station in marketing on social media. Snap Construction encourages you to do your part by liking and sharing the content on AM 950 social media platforms.
This is Chad, owner of AM 950. Ryan has always told me the best time to get work done is during the colder months of the year because demand is much lower. He is backing that up again by offering 30% off labor on windows and siding from now until the end of December. Call Snap Construction now to get 30% off labor on windows and siding. As always, Snap Construction stands by their work with a lifetime craftsmanship warranty. Trust the company AM 950 trusts Snap Construction, arguably the most well-reviewed roofing, siding, and window contractor in the metro area. Get a free estimate by calling 612-333-SNAP or find them online at snapconstruction.com. Financing options available.
Hey, it's Alex with Buzz Cut Mowing. Why spend your precious time out in the cold this fall raking, bagging, and stressing over leaves when I can handle it all for you? I provide fast, thorough, and reliable fall leaf cleanups across the West Metro. Let me do the hard work so you can stay cozy, sip your coffee, and actually enjoy the season. Visit buzzcutmowingmn.com today, and let's make your yard the envy of the neighborhood before the winter hits. Buzz Cut Mowing.
AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. It's the Matt McNeil Show. No, I want to really thank Maren for joining Maren Ward for joining us. Once again, Living in America, the waiting list is full from the Zamia Theater Project. ZamiaTheater.org, ZamiaTheater.org, and that's excuse me, let me start again. ZAMYA Theater.org. ZAMYA Theater.org. They have 5 public performances, 2 at the Minneapolis Library, 2 over in St. Paul, and then 1 at the Presbyterian Church in Minneapolis on Marquette and 12th. So there, we'll make sure you'll have to go to choose which performance you want to go to on that one. All right. 952-946-6205. So the question here is, station producer staffer Adam here, the feeling is that after they vote on this opening of the government, that Mike Johnson is going to gavel the House closed immediately and wait until and basically prevent them. I'm going to guess prevent them from presenting the petition to him until this race in Tennessee is decided. I believe that's on December 6th. Let me check that. It is December 2nd. No, December 2nd. Maybe that's the day. There's a Tennessee special election race that's scheduled for early December. That the whole goal now is to basically shut down the House from any kind of job, any kind of effort, and then basically reopen the House when he gets sworn in immediately. We'll swear him in immediately, and then you're 1 vote shy. The way things are leaking out on this Epstein file case, I am going to be stunned. I mean, let's put it this way. If you are a Republican and you actually want to run for office, and I'm talking even in the reddest freaking districts, I think it is going to be insanely hard after the release of the emails today, where Donald Trump, basically Epstein is talking about Donald Trump having hours with an underage girl. It becomes almost impossible for you to argue, I didn't know. And once again, Pam Bondi has said multiple times that Trump's name's all over the Epstein files. And there are some leaks coming on out that indeed the evidence against Trump is pretty damning. We'll see what happens here, but this is this could end up destroying the entire Republican Party. Native Roots Radio is up next. Have a good one. We're back tomorrow. Till then, see ya.
In today's uncertain times, Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces believe